Alright guys, thank you for bearing with me on that. We had a bit of an issue with my audio because I changed settings and totally forgot I had to reset some things to get the audio to play properly, but that's fixed. And we now are about ready to get started with the editing. So let's see here. I've set up a whole bunch of new things and it's taking some getting used to, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay. So let's see what we have going on here. See, I'm still getting the audio bitstream message. We'll see if that's still coming through in a second. That may be the old error. I am testing things on my laptop somewhat to kind of check it. I can probably check it on my phone too. That way I don't actually need to get up. Let's see. Yeah, it sounds like it's working. Alright, let's lower. It's a weird echo. It's like, oh, it's jumping by percentages. Alright, I think we found our levels for everything. We'll go with this for now, and if you notice that the background music's too loud or something like that, we can make further adjustments. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today is editing the last photo I need to edit for a competition. The competition is next week, so luckily I only have the one image to do. It is going to be quite a big image, only for the fact that we have to composite an arm from another photo into this one, mainly because on this photo you can see her hand right here, the back of her hand, and we don't want to see that. So we're going to actually take her hand from this photo right here and place it on her arm here. So we'll probably cut her whole arm from the elbow and place it on here from the elbow, and we'll see how that looks. That's going to take a lot of finessing to get it to work, I think, but it should be something kind of interesting to show. So we'll tackle that though. Alright, so first things I needed to find my... Nope, I think I'm all good actually. Don't need to find anything else. I think I'm good anyway. Let's go to voice meter, and just to be on the safe side, we'll mute the other mic I'm not using. That should help things out a little bit. Not that we need that. We are in Capture One, so let's move my camera to the other side of the screen so that it is not blocking you guys from seeing the tool palette over here on the left. Alright, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to edit this image, and then we're going to take the edits from this image and put them over onto this image, and then we're going to bring them both into Photoshop so that we can then extract her arm. So we're also going to probably keep the background black. I don't foresee us changing it to something else. And we'll just, you know, go from there. Alright, so let's get started. Enough dilly-dallying. Wasted enough time trying to fix my audio issue. And that's what I get for trying to adjust all my audio stuff, which will probably get adjusted again because I got a microphone coming in next week. So, won't be using this headset. Actually, for photo editing and stuff, I may still use this headset mic. I'm not sure what I'm going to do just yet. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is start adjusting. So we're going to start bringing up our shadow levels. Don't think we need to touch our blacks too much. I'm going to black out that background anyway, so I'm going to ignore what that background is doing. And then we are going to bring up our highlights, and let's just bring up the overall exposure of the image just a tad, and the overall brightness. A little bit more of the oops. A little bit more of the exposure. Alright, so now let's just zoom in a little bit, see what we're working with. Got great detail. Gonna have to do a lot of clean skin cleanup again on this image like the last one, but that's okay. This one was just how the light was hitting her. It's just accentuating everything that's there. Alright. So now we're gonna bring out the shadowing of her eyes. So we're gonna do that on a new layer, and then we're just gonna come in here and do a quick paint. Let's see, we're at a low flow, so let's actually, let's go buku crazy so I can just kind of see. Alright, and then bring this just the shadow, because what that'll do, if you zoom out, it'll just bring up that detail in her eyes. See how her eyes are creating deep shadow? And it's just because the light is hitting her from the top. So you can see the main light is all the way up here shooting her down like this, and then I have two strobes in the back that are hitting her with the color, which we are going to adjust this red a little bit, and then that we'll get rid of some of the stuff in post. But this light hitting from up here was creating a bit of a shadowing in her lower eyes, so we're just going to come in here and fix that, which I think we did a pretty good job there. Yeah, we're just adding light back in there by removing the shadow so that we can actually see her eyes, because the eyes are super important. Alright, so I think we're not going to do much to this in this step, just because I know I have to do that composition, and doing the composition is more important to get that done first. So let's see what we want to do here. Let's take... No, I really think that's it. So we're just going to copy, and then we're going to paste. We can get rid of the eye layer because we really don't need the eye layer on this image. I just need it so that the lighting here matches the lighting here. And for the most part it does. So then we're going to select both images. We will take export variants. They'll both go into the master, which is what we want. 16-bit, Adobe RGB, and export. Now once I get out of competition, we'll do some other images in here where we don't have to do what's the word? We'll do more in Capture One than we are right now, because a lot of what I need to do honestly for this stuff is in Photoshop. Alright, so then we're gonna take this image and we're gonna drag it over here. Okay. So before we do any more work, we're gonna get this hand done. And that's only so that as we manipulate the hand, we're manipulating everything else around it. Because if we were to try and add the hand in later, we'd have to do some weird blending and stuff, and it may not work right. And it could just turn into a big mess. So the first thing we're gonna do is try, well, not try, we're going to. There is no try in this situation. We're gonna take her and extract her arm. So to do this, we're going to go and use our pen tool. We're going to set it to path. And this is going to be a bit tedious. Again, you don't have to be 100% exact because we will be adding a mask to it, so we can always clean it up. But I want to try and get this as close as we can. And this is one of those processes where I really have to concentrate. So please bear with me if I'm not talking a whole lot during this step. I am not yet a master of the pen tool, and it requires a bit more work on my part to get it to work the way I want. But it is a very, very powerful tool that I suggest people learn. Mainly for this fact right here. To create really clean, detailed selections when you need to. And obviously it's not just in photography that you can use this for. You can use this for a whole bunch of different applications. But for our case here, it's photography and compositing. Now, normally if this was a client piece, I wouldn't be going through all this trouble. Your client's not going to care that the back of her hand is showing. But the judges in competition do. And that's why we're going to be doing this. Just so the judges don't take off points for having the back of her hand there. And this is also why I always have music or something playing when I'm working, because doing this in dead silence is not fun at all. You will quickly go insane, and that's the last thing that we want. And I'm pulling in her other hand, which is what I don't want, so we will just go ahead and leave that alone. We'll remove her hand later. I just don't want to redo that whole section of the mat of the pen tool. Okay. Luckily, the arm is a straight shot. The bad thing is the interior of her arm, or this part of the arm, kind of matches that part. So we just have to be a little bit careful. And as you can see, as I'm using the pen tool, I keep dragging. Even when I'm on a straight point, I try and drag a little bit. And that's mainly to keep the edges smooth, so I don't get any really sharp edges. Because especially on arms and body parts, there really aren't sharp edges. Obviously we have a sharp, clean edge here, but what I mean is like the transitional elements on the arm. So by dragging, you just kind of smooth that line out a little bit to keep from having a sharp point where your pen paths are meeting. And I will mention using a pen tablet of some kind makes this step easier. Without a pen tablet, I probably would have lost my mind a very long time ago. Okay. Alright, so then we'll make a selection out of that. We'll feather it by 1 pixel, and then we'll duplicate that onto its own layer. Alright, so now we have our arm. Sorry about that. Alright, so oops. I need to check something real quick. I totally needed to check that, and yep, I figured I'm gonna have to shrink that. All right. Yeah. See, this other thing doesn't work. Yeah. See, okay. I'm gonna have to check. This other thing. There's still some settings that just aren't working. There's still some settings that just aren't working. There's still some settings that just aren't working. There's still some settings. There's still some there's still some there's still some Alright, sorry for that echoing. I guess it was reading my desktop audio and it was just in a weird loop of some kind. Let me double check that though. I just need to see if my audio is looping. Let's make sure my mic is not that sensitive. Holy crap. I think you just heard it playing through the phone. Yep, that's exactly what it was. Okay. Jesus. I set up new things and I have to use a live stream to test it. Alright, let's get back to this. Okay, so now we're going to take the arm and then we're going to convert it to a smart object. And this is only to preserve it. And then we're going to duplicate it so that I have a backup clean copy. Alright, so now what we're going to do is kind of match, excuse me, in this image where her hand is. Let's see. Kinda a little bit more maybe. That's her elbow, right? Her knuckles. Oh, her knuckles should fall. We do that. That's okay there. Alright, so now what we have to do is remove her hand from the back. So we are going to duplicate this layer. And I know we have her touching. So we're gonna need to clean there. Start new layer. Put our clone stamp to current and below. And we're just gonna copy. When we do this, we're gonna make sure we're not a fairly hard brush. About 20%. We're gonna do a much better cleanup once we get into frequency separation. But in the meantime, we're just gonna use our clone stamp. And it's gonna help that we're gonna make this background totally black. And I just realized my I was using the wrong brush. I wonder if that's why that was a little bit more difficult than I was hoping for. Now I can adjust my size. Now, there's many different ways that you can come in here and remove her arm. We're just doing it this way because I like it. Now we're about to turn her hand on to see where we stand. And yeah, we're gonna fix her. That's just a hot mess right now. Not her, but what we did to it. Saw that later. Alright, so that's there. So what we need to do now extend her shoulder here this way. And again, we're going to use frequency separation a lot to even this out. We're going to have to create a hard line. Let's try this too. We need part of her shoulder. So let's just pull. shoulder's about right there on the underlying image. Put a mask on that, go to our brush tool, opacity 100%, flow about 10%, paint black, using a semi-hard, we'll use a soft brush in this case because my sensitivity will create the differential. Let's go up to 20%, a bit more aggressive here. Apart. Then we come to the black, and because we have a piece of her shoulder being replaced, we can just kind of cut this down to that area to remove it. So when we turn it back on, her shoulder's back. And then we can paint there. And we're gonna come in and smooth all this color out. That's all gonna get smoothed out in post. Alright, so then another thing we're gonna do is remove these fingers. A lot of upfront work in this one. Slowly remove these fingers sticking out, making everything look as clean as we can. So apparently what we did, we're gonna have to smooth some of this. We took the back, her current hand, and turned it into the back of her arm. Okay. We're going to put a mask on there, paint black, just to create a false edge. Let's harden this a little bit. And we have a shoulder. Then all we have to do is come in here and I think a little bit of blending. So. Boom. If only the image was done right there. Okay, let's go ahead and save this because knowing me, my computer will crash right after I did all that work and then I have to redo it all over again. Is that what just happened? I hit something, my music turned off. Sorry about that. Gotta have music while we're editing. No music is bad. Alright. Now, normally I would merge these down into one layer, but just in case, because this is for competition, we're not going to. We'll group them and we'll go arm fix. Now, something else we are going to do right now, before we do our cleanup, we're going to clean up the background a bit. So, I'm going to merge down. Ooh, nope. I caught something. Her fingers. The things that I should have gotten rid of beforehand that I did not. To carefully. Alright, that would have looked weird. At least here it just looks like her hands kinda propped up underneath her shoulder. Because it's really grabbing. Let's open back up the other image. I'm just going into bridge because I think maybe I do need to pull those fingers out from that backhand. Because we may be having a small believability issue now that I'm looking at it. Because her hand's getting cut off here and it wouldn't quite be her armpit there. So we're going to pull again with the pen tool. We'll do a rough selection of her here. And a lot of this stuff, as you can see, goes into believability. Will someone believe this image? They look at it. Or will it just look completely fake? And this is where a lot of people get it wrong. They don't look at everything. And you have to. You have to think of anatomy and how things go. So like her hand disappearing there may not be a big deal, but you don't know where her hand's going. And she's not holding her arm in a way that you can envision her arm going underneath her armpit. So right now it looks like she's doing this, right? But her arm will be lower. Instead her arm is going up like this. So we just have to make sure. However, her fingers come to the other side, so it looks like it's behind. Back at the tedious stuff, but sometimes this tedious stuff is just so important. Just have to do it. So I'll make a selection. Kate. For whatever reason, it hasn't been dragging to the tabs. I don't know why. I'll figure that out later. That's a issue for another day. Alright, so this arm's gonna go underneath this one. Convert to smart object. So the first thing we're going to do, put a mask. And let's mask right at the fingertips. Just following the contours, the hand in front. We may have to fake some of this. This right should only be that big, but we can going that way. So what we could do is fill in part of a finger there. Let's see how that works. Now if I just black. Okay, again. Move. Let's fill it with white. And then we'll take this part of this finger because we need to make sure that we keep the color in, right? Using our masks. This one we don't want a huge hardness on. See if this even works. I don't think this is gonna work, to be perfectly honest. Nope. Alright, let's see what our other options are. The other options, so if I do that, right? Always come in here, blend. But then her fingers don't match up. Only because of the fact now if we shrunk her arm a bit, I wonder if we just replace that whole section, if we pull out this whole section rather than the small section we were trying to do, we pull the whole arm out and over. Alright, we'll keep this and we're gonna try that. Now, the good news, well, we manipulated it, so we probably should do another selection anyway. Alright, just to see if this is gonna work, we'll do a faster, or at least try to do somewhat of a faster selection. We still want to keep it believable, so while we are doing this kind of more as a test, we still want to make sure it's a good clean selection, because if it works, it means we won't have to do as much added cleanup. to it. We would if we just did a rough selection. The rise and lowering of the nails is always fun. But yeah, I highly recommend that if you don't know the pen tool, to start learning it. I'm actually still learning it. It's a very frustrating tool, but its applications are pretty insane when you kind of learn exactly how it works, especially to create selections. It's probably one of the best tools, if not the best tool, for creating selections in Photoshop. Zoom in a little bit more, make this a little bit easier. And again, I'm only doing this because this is a competition image, and one of the few things that judges look for is hand placement. And showing the backs of the hands is never flattering because it always makes the hand look a lot bigger than it needs to be, because it's just a flat surface that's being pointed at the lens. Some instances it's okay to show the back of the hand, but they're few and far between. Luckily, I think the cleanup step of this image is going to go a bit faster. Well, not the cleanup, I should say. We're not going to do a whole lot of color grading to this because I want to preserve the purples and the reds. We will manipulate those maybe ever so slightly because of her hair. Keep it in there, but for the most part, coloring and toning of the image is probably going to stay more or less how it is here. And then we'll connect there. Selection, 1 pixel feather, because why not? Duplicate. Now, because this stupid thing is not... Wait, I should be able to do this, right? Copy, paste. Yes. Alright, we can do that then. I don't know why my other method of drag and drop, but this is actually faster. Alright, so let's convert to smart object. Create a clean copy to work on. Now I am going to pull this layer out. I'm going to create a duplicate copy of it and pull it out because it's just that black area right there. And there's no reason for me to have to redo that if I don't have to. And now for a guide, I am going to turn the back on, because I do like the positioning that I put her in here. So I'll just kind of match that up best as I can. So we may need to do this in a couple of different stages, because to get this hand match up here, her hand would have to, well, that may not be a bad thing. Well, no, because then there'll be a huge gap here. I don't think I have enough. I might have enough here to fill in there. Alright, we're gonna give that a shot. So that goes like that, right? And we are going to kill that reflection because it's not going to be reflecting this image. We may try and fix the reflection, but we'll see. This was the image I waited so long to do. I should have probably done this one first. Alright, so we'll come to that layer. We'll create a new layer to do this because so I really need to just delete this entire side for body. Well, no. Actually, this covers it up. I just need to put the spot in there. So let's come in here. Now for this, we're just going to use our lasso tool because I don't have to worry so much about the edges. Let's use a quick pen tool because I suck with the lasso tool. Selection, duplicate, copy, paste, convert to smart object. Yay, thunder. So a couple of things. Let's clean up the arm. Make sure her tattoo is more or less preserved. Do I need to rotate this a little? So oh, okay, so I gotta clean that up too. There. Biggest mistake would be leaving that to cover up the tattoo. The rest of the stuff can be... Ooh, her chest is all wrong.
I've been down the darkest roads and up in the clouds, but I've always felt that something's missing. That was until I found you right there in the crowd. You came into my life and started a fire. You made me feel like I could touch the
That's gonna look a lot more believable. Alright. Let's... I wonder if cutting off her hand there is gonna be such a bad thing. Leaving it like that. In the original of this image, yeah, it's cupped. I think, well, let's see, let's duplicate you just so I have another. Rotate like that. It doesn't look right. Alright. I think then what we'll do a curves adjustment, darken. Push that back. Draw less attention from it. We'll see if that gets dinged. They could think it's going up here into her armpit area. Or she could be balled into a fist, I guess. I don't know. The anatomy seems off a little bit, but the hand placement from this image works, but the body placement doesn't. She's more straight on here, and here she's turned. You know what? Let me see something. Do I have this set somewhere? An hour on this. Well, not wasted, but. Let's see if I go into my photos. Oh, I don't have the drive loaded, do I? Nope. Okay. I guess we'll leave it like this for now. I don't know if it's gonna be good or bad, but we'll see. A couple of things I want to try. I wanted her fingers to just lightly brush her face. I move her arm out. No, because I have nothing to fill in there. It almost has to run that way so that I can keep everything else the way it is. Alright, let's leave it and we'll see where we can go from there. Alright, let's start the cleanup. Using our healing brush, we're just gonna come in here. I use a pretty hard brush for the healing, and we're just gonna get rid of blemishes. That's all this step is. Probably should do some frequency separation, because we're gonna be removing a lot of this stuff, but I want to get some of the bigger blemishes done here. Cleaning up the skin, trying to make it look as best can. Some of these smaller bumps, they're coming out in frequency separation, so I don't have to worry about them. I try and get rid of most of the bigger stuff in this step because they'll have a bigger color as well as texture, so you'd have to get rid of them in two places rather than just one, like on the texture. You'd have to get rid of them both on the texture layer and color layer. So this step just helps alleviate that step a little bit. I can do more broad strokes in the frequency separation than I could initially. I'm not being super precise. Again, I know on the texture step I'm gonna clean a lot of this up and out. Definitely leave the tattoo. I know there's a lot of bumps over here and stuff. I think we're just gonna take care of a frequency separation because yeah, there is a lot of cleanup and smoothing that has to go on. Let's go ahead and fix some of these hairs. This was late in the day, and so we'd been shooting all day. We didn't have a hair makeup person. So her hair got a little bit unruly and I didn't really see it, otherwise I would have had us take care of it on set. But that's what happens on some of these kind of shoots. It's just you don't notice it. Luckily we have Photoshop and we can fix it. It's just a little bit tedious, and when you're working on one image it's not bad. You know, one image, but when you have to do it with multiple images, then yeah. So like if I knew I was creating a set of images, I would make sure to have someone on set with me that was watching the hair makeup, so I could focus on the overall image and they were focusing on those kind of details, so they can literally yell at me, go stop, and then they can move in, adjust the hair, and we're good to go. And we're just cleaning some up. I'm not gonna spend a whole ton of time. I mean, there's a lot going on here. It could take a retoucher hours upon hours to get all these hairs, crosshairs, cleaned up. I'm just A lot of them are noticeable in this image, which is the unfortunate thing, because we had those colored strobes going on. But we'll just see what we can do to, oops, too big. To get some of these just cleaner. Cleaning up. The one bad thing about this image was I shot it incorrectly underexposed. But I still think we'll get a good image out of it only because of RAW. The RAW is allowing us to salvage this image, which would normally not have been salvageable. Alright, I think we're just gonna black out this whole side of her. And we'll do that after we change out the background. It'll just be easier. Okay. I mean, it makes it look a little bit cleaner. So if I show you before and after, it just took away some of those little strands that are just kind of sticking out. And now we're gonna fill in the hair gap, which again was something that I did not notice while we were shooting. Excuse me, I wish I had, because it's a lot easier to take care of it while you're shooting than it is after the fact. But I think we were just both tired by this point in the shoot, and that's okay, you know, happens. This time we're gonna do a little bit in reverse. Gonna paint it in. Sometimes I like to paint it away. Sometimes I like to paint it in. It all depends on your preference. But here, fixed. So before and after. Just fills that area in right there for her hair. Let's go ahead and save it because smart. In case of crash, always save. Coffee's good. Oh, yeah. Amazon's trying to get me to buy more stuff. Yeah. Okay, so let's now extract her from the background and let's manipulate the background. So we'll create a clean copy. We'll go to our selection tool. We will click select subject. For this one, we're going to go select and mask. And then we're going to try and do refine edge, which should be this tool right here. And then we are just going to paint around the edges of her hair so that it can somewhat create a selection between the hair and the background. Okay, we're gonna smooth it out ever so slightly. Give it a little bit of a smart radius. We'll hit OK, and then we will cut her out. We will then turn that layer off, but we will load the selection. We are going to do a select, modify, and expand. We're going to expand it by 2 pixels. We're then going to click on the background layer. well, the back layer, our background layer. I'm going to remove this whole right side of the image because we don't want that. And then we're going to give it a second to try and clone. So now it's creating a rough clone selection, which is fine. Go in there and apply it. It's going to help us get rid of that reflection also, which I know I didn't want in there. All right, so we'll do that. And then what we're going to do is put a layer on top. Actually, let's just create a merged layer there. So now we have this clean background layer. We're going to come in using the patch tool, clean just these edges up, because this background's about to be totally destroyed. We're going to go super black. Hopefully too much of that stuff doesn't affect our hair. We just need clean edges. We can't have these hard edges. And obviously she's going to be covering most of this area up with her own body, just like that. So we're going to put her back in. And then we're going to find the background. And then let's see if we just turn the curves down. I'm wondering if we want something back there. All right, so a couple of things real quick. Let's go ahead and patch tool out. That patch tool out. Ooh. Keep drawing new selections. Get rid of all these imperfections in this background. I have to drag before I hold shift. That's what's happening. And we'll go along the table, drag up, boom. Go below the table. Plexiglass. And if we need to, probably going to crop this in closer, so I know I'm going to be getting rid of some of that plexiglass stuff. And we'll clean the plexiglass up once we change the actual background. So let's see, now that we kind of have her separated, let's go ahead and do another separation of the background. For this we'll just use a polygonal lasso tool, and that's just this edge of the table, because whatever we do, I want it to not be affected by it. So we'll just put it on its own layer on top, so whatever we do to this bottom layer doesn't affect it. So let's turn her on, and then again we'll come into curves, drop it down, and now we're just affecting the background. I just want it dark. We'll have it affect that too. Now what we are going to do on this layer is mask. Super soft brush. Much lower flow, maybe about 5%. And we're going to mask ever so carefully a reflection. Bring some of it back. Okay. That way it just disappears into the glass. Okay. Because it's not part of the background. We could separate it from her. There's no reason to. Alright, so let's actually see if we put a solid behind her. Let's make it, I don't know, almost pure black, right? We're gonna go into alien skin. Let's just rasterize it and see what that does for us. And then we're gonna find, I think I like Bundy finishes are actually usually pretty good, and we have a pretty mild one there. So let's load that up. Okay, so that gives us somewhat of a background for her. And then what we can do is on this curves layer, pull it down even more. And then we'll go ahead and add that pop of light I usually have behind using a gradient. Light. It's there. It's super subtle. And I do think it needs to be a bit bigger. Okay. And then what we'll do in the end is we'll have a gradient of red coming from here and a gradient of purple coming from here. Okay. So let's group all this up, because now we're going to do our frequency separation. Let's close that. Let's save you. Alright, let's see. That finish saving, and then we will go into frequency separation. Alright. Okay. That's done. So let's do frequency separation. I always do the duplicate step so I don't have to merge everything down. So image duplicate. Then we merge everything down. And then we're going to run a frequency separation action. And we're just going to see where texture's totally... 6 looks good. Okay. Now let's go in here. Let's turn off the detail layer. We're going to come onto the main color layer. We're going to use our mixer brush. And feel free to copy my settings up here at the top if you want. And then we're just going to come in here. Start mixing her skin. By doing this on a duplicate layer, not only does it allow us to preserve the layers on the original document, but I think it also uses less memory, because as the mixer brush works, it doesn't have to process the layers below it like it would in the other document. Now don't hold me to that, because the other document is still open, so it may still be using memory Photoshop, but I don't think it's using as much by staying still, as opposed to me trying to do this in that step. And so all I'm doing here is I'm just blending transitional elements, some of the texture together. the color texture, I should say, so that stuff like that banding goes away. Then we're going to sample this gray area. Just come here and kind of smooth that out. Then we'll sample this lighter gray. So wherever you click down is technically where the color's being sampled from, and then as you drag, it's blending it with the other areas. So when you want to blend two areas together, like here and here, you come here and you blend from this side, then you come here and you blend from that side. So, and then like to get rid of the bags, we're gonna blend from this lighter color. We're gonna come through and just blend that out. Then we're gonna come up here to this other lighter color, blend that as well. Then we'll start blending from here, blend the edges. And this is just like you're painting. Do some circle blending here. Now, from my understanding, this process is actually somewhat graphically intensive. So if you find your computer going a little bit slower, just give it a few minutes to catch up. Try not to rush it too much. You don't have the strongest graphics processor. But just because it's taking a minute doesn't mean it's not working. I don't need to be that close. Just sitting here and blending. Smoothing out the rough spots, the transitions. Which a lot of this stuff is because of the style of lighting we used here. We had the one overhead light, and then we had the two strobes hitting from the backside with the colored gels on it. So, it created somewhat of an interesting lighting pattern, but we can use this step to kind of clean that up, smooth out some of the rougher spots of using lighting like that. And once I finish most of the stuff in here, we'll back out and do a broader version of this cleanup step, especially for an image like this. It's really easy to get lost like that. That's why I'm trying to, because now I'm seeing, you know, like right here. Like I cut that in too much. Still need to make sure. And then we are going to fix that a little bit heavier, but we're gonna actually do some actual painting in that area for that. Let's see where we're at. So before, oops. So if we turn our texture on, before, oops, let's, I want to keep the black and white, so we'll do it before and after. See, we're just cleaning that up, and now I'm seeing on the right hand side we need to pull some more of that shadow down. We flattened too much of her cheek out, and I only turned the detail layer off so I can see a bit better. We may have to actually paint some black in there. I think I pulled too much of the shadow out, but we'll definitely do that. Alright, so one thing we are going to do now also is paint over here, or blend I should say. We're not painting just, I mean technically we are painting. We're going to pull that knuckle out. Oops, I painted too much into there. So we're actually going to rotate a little bit because I can paint a lot better this way. We're going to make this a bit bigger and go this way. Nice and smooth. Just evening out those transitions. And obviously on the body, I don't, I'm not as careful as I am with the face area. If this was a swimsuit shot, I would be a lot more careful. Obviously not. But yeah, if this was a swimsuit, I would definitely be more careful when dealing with this. People may notice more of imperfections in that style of a shoot if you do too much or not enough of this on the body, depending on how much you want to clean it up. But obviously that's all personal preference at that point. Alright, let's rotate upside down. We're going to clean up this part. Blend these two colors together. Just a bit of blending. I know the process can take a little bit of time, but the end result is actually very, very pleasing. This is also how you get rid of like that red stippling that you can sometimes see on the skin from being out in the sun too long, or that's just naturally there. Goosebumps. You can use this to get rid of goosebumps. Technique's really good for that. You just want to be careful that you're not flattening the image too much when you do this, because that can happen. Obviously you could always bring some dimension back when you dodge and burn, but if you're not going to dodge and burn, then you just want to be careful in this step. And again. Alright. So let's turn our detail back on. And then just black and white change. Before. After. Let me zoom in a little bit. Before. After. See just how clean we made that? One thing we are going to do now though, fix this area up here. and that's part of the texture. Okay. So now let's clean up her texture. So we're going to switch over to the clone stamp tool. We're going to go to the texture layer, and we're going to change the clone stamp to current layer. If you leave it on current and below and you try to do something, you'll get weird, funky results. Okay? So you want to make sure you're on current layer, because now the only thing we're doing is moving texture. And actually, we are going to do something a little different. This was another technique I literally just learned the other day. But let's clean up down here first before I forget. So what I need to do is see what is affected. So that's all color. So we're going to come to the paint layer. And then we're going to go to a normal brush. We're going to go to a hard brush. We'll blend it in a second. Okay. So I'm going to sample the black. And I'm going to paint the form of her cheek. Sample here. The black. Sample. Now I'm not blending in this step. I mean, I could be. But all I'm doing is painting. Now let's reduce the hardness to 0. And now we are going to... We're going to come back in here with a mixer brush in a second. Because I also need to clean up there. But what we did there is we fixed that contour of her face. Yep. Okay. So now, let's go into... No, let's just take these two, create a duplicate, merge them. And then we're just going to go back to the mixer brush. Blending again. I know this step takes some time, but it is well worth it to have clean lines and skin. Now you can overdo it. Frequency separation does take a while to get used to. You're not going to nail it on the first try. You're probably going to end up with porcelain and some weird effects. Like when you turn this detail layer on, you have detail and stuff there, right? But it could look totally out of whack. Now we are having an issue, and I didn't think about this, and that's my fault. But when I painted there, I was selecting a black and white color. However, what I should be able to do now is just do a new layer on top. We're going to change it to color, blend mode, and then using brush tool, we're going to select the color again, paint over it. And that should just allow us to duplicate the color of the skin. And we'll reduce it. There we go. And now you never know. Just a little fix for a mistake I made. Okay. So now we're going to come in and clean up the skin a little bit so it's not so harsh. And we're going to do that again with the mixer brush. So we're coming up to the detail layer. And we're just going to a little bit more broadly, especially like in this area here. I may just totally bring that down all the way. So I'm just cleaning up the texture. You're more or less blending the textures together with one another. And as long as you do it slowly and care not to fully remove it, It gives it a really nice clean look without looking super fake, because it still leaves some semblance of skin texture in there. And if you do get rid of too much, you can always reduce the opacity to bring it back, or with the detail backup layer, I mean, you turn that on and reduce it, or you can add noise to reintroduce some texture in there, which is a nice little trick. But as you can see, I'm doing this pretty heavy-handed. Again, this is a competition image, so I'm not removing the texture, but I really want to tone the texture down on the face quite a bit, because there was a lot of texture there, especially with this lighting style that I used. Normally with this lighting style, I would have wanted a makeup person on set to put somewhat heavier makeup on, because once you start using side lighting, you're going to accentuate any little bump or curve of someone on someone's face as far as their skin texture goes. But now we're going to leave the texture everywhere else. We may lighten up these hairs a little bit. And, you know, this is just, everyone has it. We're just going to come in here and lighten that up a little bit. Okay. And let's, a little bit more underneath the eyes. Don't want to fully remove it, but we're just blending it together to kind of lighten it. So you can see the texture is still there. We're just lightening it up. Okay. And then use our mixer brush again down here. I want to just blend around lip area, and I'm probably in way too close trying to do that, but that's okay. All right, let's turn this off because now we do have color in here because of the lights. And so what we are going to do is I want to tone down this piece right here. I don't think I want to get rid of it, but we definitely do want to tone it down. So we are definitely going to come in here with our mixer brush, and we're going to come to a lighter part and just slowly blend. We're going to do that over here too. A little bit up here. Blend some of those. And so then we're going to come up to our detail layer, and I can just start working like this to blend things out that I don't want. Okay. And that's all we're doing in this step is blending. Look at that, nice. So I liked overdoing it sometimes, and then I can come back and do like you just saw. It was too dark there. I lightened it up and boom. Now we have a really good clean image here. Blend, 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 blend with the mixer. Mixer blending. Okay. And we can deal with some coloring with her arm and stuff later if we need to. So, before, after. Look at that. Look at that. That's just... And by doing that, you also sometimes will notice little things. Like I'm noticing right here on her nose. We'll just clean that up a little bit. Come to the texture layer. All right. So let's copy paste that over here. We'll close that down because we don't need it anymore. And then we have our frequency separation step. Okay, let's go ahead and save that. And then we'll continue on with next step, which is her eyes. All right, so what we are going to do now is the I want to. It's not going to be easy to fix that, I don't think. You know what? Let's go to frequent. Let's see. Go to mixer. I blend. I don't think it's gonna matter. No. Alright, I'm not gonna be able to fix that strap there. Well, actually, yeah. Let's blend this highlight out. Turn the texture off. How much that is on the texture? Let's blend. Okay, so there was some on the texture. Okay. Then we'll come. I think we're actually just going to go on a new layer above it. Use the normal brush tool. Sample some of the pink. Paint it in. Just to clean that light up a bit. Now we need to come here. And then mixer brush. Just blend these two together. We'll blend some of the skin tone in there. Okay. That helps a little bit. It's not gonna be something that we can do too much with, but I think it just softens it a bit. Alright. So let's go ahead and deal with her eyes. So we're gonna zoom in. And we're gonna liquefy her eyes like we've done in the past. So create my duplicate layer. Oops, I'm on the polygon lasso tool. Nope. Duplicate those, delete that layer. Filter, liquefy. Now we're gonna zoom in. And we're going to pull in, shrink you. I'm gonna try and keep this as even as I can. And all I'm trying to do, because we shot in a dark room, her pupils were dilated. And so what that does is it reduces the size of the iris. But the iris is where your beautiful color is. So I lose the ability to really show off that color. So by doing this, I'm pulling that color in. And in this image, and in these type of images, it's not a big deal to do it because the eyes are so far away anyway. I mean, you'll be able to tell, but it's not. Did I not turn my texture back on? So now, I'm going to take that same layer, duplicate it, and turn it to screen. So I'm just enhancing what's already there. And I accidentally hit 1. Okay. Then we'll put a mask. Invert that mask. We're going to zoom in. Oops. I'm already almost at my maximum zoom. Normal brush tool. And we're going to paint white on a low flow into the iris. Now, because the catch light is right here, this part of the iris should be brighter because it will catch the light than the other parts. So we're just using, kind of dodging the eye. And then we're also going to do the same thing here to the whites of the eye. And then this whole layer is going to get reduced by quite a bit, actually. Alright, so if we back out, yay, neon eyes. So we back it out, and then we slowly bring it back up. I think about right there looks good. Just getting a little bit of pop into the eyes. That's what we want, a little bit. Then I'm going to go back to my original eye layer, duplicate that, drag that to the top, and then we're going to turn this to color dodge. This is going to give us more enriched color. So again, we're going to create a mask. This time we'll start it inverted. Just hold Alt and invert. And then painting with white on that layer mask. Again, we're just now, again, enhancing the lighter part of the eye. Again, this part of the eye, which is opposite of the catch light, will you always want to make it a little bit brighter than the other parts of the eye, because that's where the light would be reflected in the eye, on the iris. So I usually paint there first, and then I will. Ooh, is this glove causing a reaction? I may have to get a new glove. Okay. Let's fix my artboard. So look at that. So before and after. Just a nice pop to those eyes. Okay. And then the last thing, go back to that original eye layer, drag it to the top, and we're going to do colored burn. Oh no, it's so dark. She's a Sith Lord. Anyway, and then, you know, Alt mask gets rid of it. Then what we're gonna do is paint or bring it back and just around the eye. If the center needs to get darkened a little bit, we'll do that. Especially from liquify, I could move some stuff around. And then we're gonna find some of the darker colors of the eye and just paint those ever so slightly. And it'll give some texture to the eye. And you don't need to go overboard with this step. You can do as much of it or as little bit as you want. For lighter eyes, sometimes going a little bit darker helps. She has brown eyes, so we don't have to go too crazy. And we are going to back it off just a hair. Okay. So if we group these all together, we'll name it eyes. So before and after. Now I am noticing we added a little light to the lids there in one of these steps. I'm guessing the color dodge, and that does not need to be there. So we're just going to use our brush tool on black and paint it out, because those would not turn that color. And I'm not quite sure how that happened. I must have accidentally painted somewhere I shouldn't have. Alright, so a little close up. Before, after, before, after. Then we zoom out. Before, after, before. Just that little bit of pop in there is just beautiful. Alright, so now we're going to go on to dodge and burn. When it saves. This is going to be a long one. I've been trying to speed up my whole workflow process. Doesn't always happen. Okay. Alright, so dodge and burn. Yes. So let's go ahead and run my dodge and burn from Beauty Retouch Studio. Because I like it so much. However, I do not like their visual aid. Turn off their visual aid. I will add my visual aid, which is just a solid color. Black layer, set to color. Boom. Now this is good because it actually shows you the true representation of black and white with the colors that you have. The other way doesn't show you a true representation. I think I did it in my previous video. I'll have to make a whole tutorial on that. But okay. And I just realized my camera could have been blocking my layers palette, and I do apologize for that. I'll go ahead and move it for you guys. All right. I will get better at this whole streaming thing. Okay, so we're gonna go down to our dodge and burn layer. Let's start with dodge, and we're mostly doing global dodges. We're gonna go down to a 2% flow, which for whatever reason my keyboard shortcuts are not working. I'm on my brush tool. Brush, shift, O2. There we go. That was weird. It just wasn't reading it right. Okay. We'll zoom in just a hair. And now we're just going to paint where we want to dodge, which means to brighten. So we'll go a little bit down there. Little triangles underneath the eyes. We'll leave the nose highlight alone because that actually looks pretty good as it is. But we will paint some light right here into the forehead. Paint some light here into the chin. Basically, we're painting light where there already is existing light. And then we'll actually come down here, paint this highlight on her lip. And then we're actually just going to go ahead and, since we're down here, come to the burn. We're going to burn the region underneath her lip. And again, I'm using a Wacom tablet, so even though you're seeing my cursor really big, that's not how big it is. And then we'll a little there, little shadow, the lip. Let's go even darker down here. Okay. And then we'll dodge a little bit more where this arm is. Then we'll come to dodge. I meant burn where the arm is. But it'll burn a dodge stripe right here down our arm. We'll dodge a little bit right there. We're not going to do too much with the hand. We are going to burn this light area. I want to burn the shoulder down a little bit. And then we may add just a hint of dodging. Right here. Because that's where the light is. And then we'll do a little burning into her clothing right here, just to accentuate that a little bit. And we're going to do liquefy in the last step. I jump back and forth when I decide to do my liquefying. And then we'll just come here to dodge a little bit of the clothing. We're good there. And then we're going to come into the hair. We're going to dodge a little bit here. Dodge the pre-existing highlights. We're going to leave that side of the hair alone because it already looks pretty dodged. And then we're going to come here and burn. And then this is going to give the hair just a bit more texture. Okay. So now if we just do the dodge and burn before and after, you can see it just gives it a little pop. Just nice accentuation. And I can't talk today. So we'll turn that off. We need to blend this a little bit more. So we'll do that with dodge. We'll just blend a little bit more light. Okay. We may actually blend it a little bit lower. Okay. Now we'll take the burn. All right. A little bit more. Bear with me while Okay. So, this is where we started from. And this is where we're at now. This is where we started. And this is where we're at now. Pretty crazy, huh? And now we're going to do another step where we clean up a little bit more of this hair. And we're just going to use our direct clone stamp tool for that. Semi-hard brush. And we're just going to set it to current and below. And then we're just going to select the background and just kind of paint into her hair. Very carefully, very gently. I'm just using it to remove a little of these stragglers. And then we're going to finish the image with a little bit of a gradient. Okay. Let's go in even more. And because I'm doing on a layer on top, I will be able to fix some of the fake lookingness to this. So now I put a layer mask on there. We're gonna go a small white brush. I mean black brush. And we're just gonna paint some of these strands back in that more or less got removed. There we go. Just clean that up a bit. And now we save. And then we're going to add our gradients. And then I'm going to brighten her. Well, let's go ahead and lift her. Well, no, let's add the gradients first. And then we'll brighten her face up a little bit more. And then from there, we will put this on its mat and then send it off to my mentor to see what adjustments she thinks I should make. And then I think it will be ready to go to competition. Or she doesn't think this will work. We'll go to another image and you'll see me editing again tomorrow or Tuesday. 50-50. And we're gonna wait for this to save out now. %. We're almost saved. I'm just glad my computer can do this and stream at the same damn time. Let's just say that right now. Ooh, yeah, since I adjusted my stuff, I forgot to monitor my temperatures today. That is so my fault. And it probably wouldn't have mattered because we're barely hitting 60. Okay. Alright, so now let's add our gradients. So I'm just going to create a new layer. And we're just going to do a straight up gradient. We're going to go from... Let's pick... bright red. Yeah. We may have to adjust that to a darker. Okay. Okay. And then we're gonna go boom, just like that. And no, we're not. No, we are not. We're just literally gonna do it and reduce the opacity to 0. What? 0. Okay. Okay. And do we want to change it to color? Yes. So we'll do color, right? We'll reduce it because it gives it the color. And then we'll duplicate that and we'll set it to screen. And that's going to give us... But it's going to be subtle. We don't want it super, super strong, right? Okay. So then we're going to come from the other side. Gradient tool is the one tool I don't remember the shortcut for. And we're going to choose... purple. Or pink, I can't remember what this actually was. Go in. Set this one to color, just like we did before. Reduce it. I think that was a little too much, but we'll see. Duplicate it, set it to screen. Reduce it down some more. Okay. We'll pull it back just a hair. Take the red. Pull it back just a hair. Okay. A little quick cleanup I noticed. We'll just use our spot healing some spots on this table I want to get rid of. Just in case they show up on the monitor that they're using. They're not showing up on mine. I don't think it'll show up on theirs, but you never know. Their brightness could be slightly off, and that would be very embarrassing. I spent all this time in some specs on the damn board that take all of seconds to get rid of. Cost me points. Alright, we are gonna lower this. Let's group these together. Purple-lite, red light. I think we will reduce this a little bit more. The red light I think is okay. Well, let's see if I... Okay. So then what we're going to do is curves adjustment. And this time I want to actually select will invert that. Brush soft white. Knock it up to about 10%. And that on her face. Because you want the face to be the brightest part of the image. And we are going to back that down because that's just a little too bright. Which I always go overboard. Back it down. So let's save that. Now let's go pull up a presentation mat and drop it in and send this off. I go to final. Let's do this mat. Okay. Let's see here. What should we call this image? The beauty of red and purple. I don't know. The color of beauty. I don't know. Well, I'll get some help with that title, but now. Okay, so once that saves, I'll know we're good to manipulate, throw it onto the mat. And then that should be it for us tonight. Eventually I want to try and do multiple photos in a night, but again, for competition, you know, I mean, this was 2 hours. A little over 2 hours, and it, you know, just takes that time. Still saving. We're at 55% on this document. Alright, now that I'm taking my eyes off of it for a little bit, I'm still okay with it. So, we'll see. I mean, we can do a quick before and after. Before, I mean, that's where we started. This is out of camera. You can see my lighting patterns were really messed up. Her hair is creating all these weird shadows over here. Because it was late in the day, her makeup was a little, you know, off. You know, hair was a bit messy because we hadn't tried to reset it, and that's the after. This is what she actually looks like in real life. This is only what the camera saw. This is not what she looks like by any way, shape, or form. This is more my failings than it is hers because we threw this together in like 2 minutes. This is what she looks like. She is a very beautiful young woman. Alright, so it looks like we're done there. So we are going to merge these down into one. Layer. Flatten. Change it to 8-bit. And then we're going to convert the profile to sRGB. And then we're going to come into here. We are going to copy and paste. Okay. Ooh, what did I just do? Copy, paste. Why is it pasting it? Let's go. Do I have to duplicate it? Copy, paste. Yeah, duplicate, copy, paste. Order operations. Okay. So we'll delete the underlying layer. We'll save this. Now I just have all these mats created. And so I don't want to have to recreate them. So the first thing we're going to do is adjust her. Normally I have rule of thirds lines going. I don't know where they are, to be perfectly honest with you. But we're going to see how this looks here. Yeah, I wonder how it would look. Let's just try something. Oops, no, let's go to the here. Let's just do, can manipulate this, radial gradient. I want it just a black to white. Colors, I know there's a better way of doing that. I don't know why I always do it that way, but I do. Change that to soft light. Put that just there. Reduce it. Touch of that. I think I like that. Also have to remember I did that. Okay. That looks about right. And then let's change this. Let's go with a deep red. Yeah. Or should I go with a deep purple? That looks so cool, but that won't fly. That. And for a bit more color to it. I don't know if purple's gonna work. I don't think purple's a strong enough color in this image. Darker. What if I change it to red? I think the red. All right, we'll see what Mentor says. All right, save out my JPEG. And I really wish I could share some of these, but until the competition is over, I can't risk one of the judges seeing it, because then they have to disqualify themselves. And that's never good. All right, so let's pull up the original image. And I can then show you the before and after. Let's do. And I didn't do any liquefying either. Well, we'll see what my mentor says. If she says I need to do liquefying or something, if she brings me back, I'll do some liquefying. I really don't think it needs it. I may drop her shoulder a little bit and stuff like that, but nothing major. So, before I forget, let's go ahead and add that gradient like we did before. Basics, black and white. Reverse, excuse me, radial, drop it down to soft white, soft white, and then percentage I brought it in at, but yeah, there we go. 25% is good. All right, so we have our before, which is that, and we have our after, which is that. And that's gonna do it for me tonight. Obviously I'll see what my mentor says. I do most of those changes off stream because it's usually just small little changes. If she does ask me to do anything big or crazy, we may do them on stream. It just, all depends on when I need to do them versus when I stream next, because I think Tuesday's the cutoff, so I may have to put some more heavy work in then, because I think Tuesday midnight is the cutoff to get these submitted. So I'm right there on the edge because love to procrastinate. But thank you all for tuning in. Feel free to subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified whenever I do go live. I also get notified on Twitter. At Craigor1985 is my Twitter handle. I announce there when I'm going live. Other than that, I will see you all later.
Why can't you?